Hello there, it's Tom from Blacktoe Studios, and it is time for another battle report. I hope you're all doing well, and this is 2,000 points of Night Lords, who will be facing off against 2,000 points of Crimson Fists, played by Vicky. So let's go into this battalion list that we have here. Only one detachment, which is a battalion. So yeah, moving on into the HQ slots. Down here we have a Terminator Lord with 2 lightning claws, which have been upgraded to Claws of the Black Hunt. I've also given him a warlord trait of murderous reputation, which, if I recall correctly, I think 6s do mortal wounds in addition to their normal damage. We then have a second HQ choice of a Chaos Terminator Sorcerer. He's got a combi melter and obviously a staff there. He is rocking Prescience and Warp Time as his 2 psychic powers, along with Smite. And then we go into the core of the list. So let's start with the troops, as we always do. We have 3 squads here of Chaos Space Marines. They're all 10 men strong. Each one has a melter gun and a plasma gun in them. Each of the Chaos Champions has a power fist. The one at the front does have an additional plasma pistol as well, as you can see here. The rest have just got bolt pistols to back them up with their power fist. So that's the troop choices. Let's move over to, I suppose we could do some heavies over here. So we have 2 Havoc squads. One has got 4 heavy bolters, the other one has 3 missile launchers and 1 heavy bolter. I'm hoping to leverage some of the new damage they do now to see if they can maybe help against some of the Primaris. We'll see how that goes. We have a Contempter here. It has the Plasma Blast gun in its claw. Obviously it's got a siege, normal claw, sorry, and a Keras Assault Cannon, so that's a Hellforge Contempter. We then have a Sikaran Venator here with a twin las cannon upgrade, and obviously it's got the top sponsons there, or pintle mount I should say, ready to be fired with some vengeance. And then up in the air here we have a Storm Eagle. Actually, I just did some work on this morning. I put some of the lightning transfers on to replace my paintwork, which you probably will see during the game anyway. However, upgrade wise, that's got to the 2 twin las cannons on it. Twin multi-melter on the front, and then obviously the rockets that come with it as per standard. And then finally in the list, what Night Lord list would be complete without some Raptors? We have I think it was a squad of 8 and a squad of 7. Front squad here has a champion that is wielding a power axe, and the rear squad has a champion that is wielding a power sword. They are also Mark of Khorne, and they have their, I think it's the icon of Wrath if I remember correctly, so they can re-roll their charges. Also, just another thing regarding marks, the Lord is also a Mark of Khorne, and then also the 2 Havoc squads are Mark of Slanesh. Hopefully going to try and use some of the Havoc shooty skills in this game. Anyway, that is the 2,000 points of Night Lords. Let's roll on and see what the Crimson Fists have brought to the field of battle. So here we have 2,000 points of Crimson Fists, and we have a Spearhead detachment here. So there's a lot of heavies floating around in this list. So let's go in and have a little closer look. So HQ slots, we have a Primaris Captain, a Power Fist and a Plasma Pistol. He will be basically having the Warlord trait of Refuse to Die, and yeah, that's about it for him. We then have a Terminator Librarian who has got Might of Heroes and Psychic Fortress. Other than that, he's all stock. And then we can head on, well, we're going to do some troop costs here. So we have a squad of intercessors here and another squad of intercessors here. They're all armed as shown. So this guy here has got a power fist, this guy over here has got a power sword, and then the standard guns. At the front here we have a 10-man Hellblaster squad. That should be quite nasty to deal with. I'll keep in the vein of heavies here. So we have 3 Predators, 2 las cannon ones all round, and 1 with the autocannon heavy bolters. We then have a Redemptor here with the heavy Gatling assault cannon, and I think the inbuilt weaponry there on the chest as well. And I think there's a heavy flamer underslung on the other side there to top that one off. And then as we move over to the right here, we have a squad of Outriders, all armed as stock obviously. I'm not sure you can do many upgrades on that anyway. And then just to round out the final part of this list, we have a Primaris Ancient here. So that is 2,000 points of Crimson Fists. Let's get over to the battlefield. Okay, so just before we go into any of the objectives and the mission, etc., we'll just go through the deployment. So over here, on this side of the board, we have the Crimson Fists. We have a Predator sitting on this flank with some intercessors hiding behind these crates. We then have the captain and some hellblasters, and also the ancient there. Obviously, I think the captain's there to prevent some gets hot rolls from the hellblasters. We then have another predator, the redemptor, librarian, another intercessor squad, and another predator, and then some outriders hiding here. And also at the end of the deployment, we had a little sneaky incursion up here with 3 eliminators in the tower, obviously giving some good spotting around the battlefield. Then we switch over to this side for the Night Lords. We have the Venator hiding down here. I did a slight sideward deployment because I really didn't quite leave enough room to go front ways on. However, he's there happily. We then have the Storm Eagle, and inside the Storm Eagle we have one 10-man squad of Chaos Space Marines. And up in the ruin here we have the Sorcerer and a squad of Havocs with the missile launchers primarily. There's also one heavy bolter in there. We have a squad of Chaos Marines down here. And as we shift over to this side of the table, as the middle is pretty bare for me, we have another squad of Chaos Space Marines and Havocs over here, along with a Dreadnought just on the right flank. We also have 2 squads of Raptors in reserve ready to drop in alongside the Terminator Lord, who will also be deep striking at some point in the game. So let's go and see what the mission and the rules are. And welcome to the battlefield. We have here Crimson Fists and Night Lords facing off. Let's go into the mission and scenario. So we are doing another mission here from one of the Crusade books. It is Assault on the Installation. As you can see here, it's a pretty classic Dawn of War setup, and there are 3 objective markers on the board, and there is one here, one down here, and also one, I think, just hiding down here. Okay, now to score points in this, there's a couple of ways you can do that. Primarily, if you're holding an objective in your next command phase, you score 5 points for each one that you hold. So there's a maximum of 15 up available for that. However, there is a secondary progressive objective that is also in play, which is basically there's an action that you can perform called Power Conduit Action, which can only be done by infantry units, and that is in range of individual objective markers here. If you declare that, it's the normal action, so they can't do anything until the action's complete. However, if they do complete that, you get 5 victory points in your next command phase if you manage to do that over a round. However, no points can be scored in the first round. So the first battle round, there'll be nothing in the command phase scored. However, obviously you can start an action to score that the following round if you need to. There are always a couple of special rules with regards to these, because each of these objectives actually counts as a quantum shield generator. So if you were within 3 inches of one of these markers here, you get a 5 up invulnerable save against range attacks. And also, when making a range attack against the unit within 3 inches of the objective marker, a wound roll of a 1, 2, and 3 always fails. So it gives them a little bit of toughness, and it's just part of the scenario. So, at the moment, we don't know who's going first. But we're going to roll off that, aren't we, Vicky? Okay, so here goes the Night Lords. I'm going to aim for a Black Toad here. Okay, this isn't good. That is a 1. Versus a 3. So Vicky will be going first. We'll be right back in a minute with turn 1 for the Crimson Fists. Okay, so Crimson Fists, turn 1, movement. The Predator and the Intercessor here have moved around this crate, heading towards their quarries on the other side of the field here. Into this Hellblaster squad, and the Captain have moved up with the Banner Bearer and the other Predator. The Redemptor has moved into a little kind of protective area over there. And then again, another 3 movements here with the Librarian, Intercessors and the Predator moving up. And then the Outriders making a break down this right flank, heading towards some heavy guns over here. I don't know what their intention is. We'll have to see in a minute. However, that is movement. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be receiving a hail of fire in a second. So let's head on into turn 1, Psychic and Shooting for the Crimson Fists. Okay, so in the Psychic phase, there was pretty much nothing done because all the Psychic powers were failed. Did try and get Psychic Fortress off down here, but that didn't go off. However, we'll now go straight into some shooting, and we're going to be having the las cannons from the Predator here firing over to the Venator over there. So let's see if he can hold out. Okay, so we have 4 las cannon shots going into the Sikaran. So that's 2 hits. And I think you need 3s to wound because I'm toughness 7. Both went there, so I have a 5 up save because I have a 2 up normally. I'm looking for 5s here. Oh, that was very lucky. So that is the Venator saved from that Dreadnought. Actually, that is not quite true. Obviously, Devastator Doctrine is in effect, so there's an additional -1 AP. So one of those did get through because I rolled a 5 and a 6. So the damage for the 5, 4 damage, or 5 damage with the doctrine that the Crimson Fists have from the Legacy of Dawn. So the Venator has taken 5 damage. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the rest of the shooting phase here. Rolling onto this side of the board, we had the Outriders fire all of their shots into the Sikaran here, but didn't actually manage to do anything because I rolled good saves. We had the Stalker bolt rifles here, which I did forget in the army video. Apologies, they are actually armed with Stalker bolt rifles, not normal ones. They fired up into this squad down here. However, I put Midnight Cloud on them, giving them -1, and they had moved, so they're also another -1. So they were hitting on 5s, and I managed to only kill 1 of them. We had, obviously we saw that on camera. Moving to this side of the board, unfortunately there is a little hole here where there was a squad of Chaos Space Marines. They were wiped out with the combined fire of this Predator, the ones that could see from this Intercessor squad, and the Hellblasters here absolutely pasted them. So they are gone, which is annoying because I won't be able to run an action on that next turn. And then the Eliminators up here fired down from their tower into the Storm Eagle, taking it down to 15 wounds. Not bad, actually, considering it was a sniper rounds. So I think that concludes your turn, Vicky, correct? Yeah? So no more stuff to do for the Crimson Fists. So we'll be right back in a minute with turn 1 for the Night Lords. Okay, so movement for the Night Lords is done. Over here we had the Hellforge Contemptor move round here towards this Predator. Hopefully we'll get into some form of a scrap with that. I do need to. We had the Havocs move in towards the objective in the middle here, but they've also got the Heavy Bolters trained in this direction over here, but also trying to get a bit of protection from this tower. I advanced this squad of Chaos Space Marines up towards the objective to get them firmly on there, and also just come around this side of that tower to kind of cut off many of the shots that come over there. This Havoc squad just moved up to the windows. Obviously they can move and fire, so I'm not too worried about them moving. Just wanted to adjust them so they got their best lines of fire. The Venator just hasn't moved, just pivoted to get its line of sight over here. Obviously I do have to be a bit wary of these down on this side of the board. Just I don't really want the Outriders to get into combat, but hopefully I've got some stuff to deal with that. And then finally up here, the Storm Eagle made quite a aggressive move to the centre of the table because it does have a lot of firepower. We have a twin multi-melters. There's 4 shots from that. 2 twin las cannons, and obviously the kind of Storm Eagle rockets on the top there. So I'm hoping we can maybe do some damage to some vehicles, but we'll see. Anyway, that's movement. Let's move on to Psychic and Shooting for Night Lords in turn 1. Psychic phase done. Basically, the Chaos Sorcerer here tried to put Prescience onto the Venator, failed with a reroll. Not very good. However, we then did smite the Outriders here, managed to kill 1. So can't really complain. Vicky's not happy about that, but it is new models, so it's probably going to have quite a lot of new model syndrome here. For my first round of shooting here, we're going to have the Venator fire into the Predator as a kind of like a returning the favour for the shots that he received. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to start with the Venator firing. Basically, it's going to fire its main cannon and the las cannons at the Predator, and then the Heavy Bolter will be firing at the Intercessor squad just next to it. So let's start with the main cannon, which is Heavy 3. We're looking for 3s here because we didn't move. Not that it actually matters at the moment. That's all hit, and it's strength 12, so we're looking for 3s again. Oh dear. I am actually going to command point one of these because I kind of need 2 of these to get through, in my opinion. There we go, and that is -3, so you do have a 6-up save. No, you just took 12 damage. Because I stood still, that is flat 6. Does he blow up? Does he blow up? Let's find out. I hope so.
I hope not. Don't roll us.
No, okay, it doesn't blow up. However, I do have the Heavy Bolter, which I did declare at the Marines before I fired, so obviously the las cannons are wasted, but I can shoot at the Intercessors. So we've got 3 shots from the Heavy Bolter, needing 3s. All hit. I need 3s again. So 2, and that's at -1. So you're looking for 1 Marine dead, because it's now 2 damage a Heavy Bolter. So that's 1 Marine dead and 1 Predator dead. Okay, so obviously the Venator did very well, so let's round out the rest of the shooting. Over here we had this squad of Havocs fire into the Hellblasters, and we took 4 out. However, because the banner was there, Vicky rolled a couple of 4s and actually managed to fire a couple of shots back at this Dreadnought. However, nothing happened, luckily. We also had the Vengeance launchers from the Flyer go into them and take a wound off. On top of that, this Storm Eagle has done particularly well in my opinion, even though nothing's quite dead. It managed to take this Predator down to 4 wounds, and assist in taking this Redemptor down to 3 wounds. That was also because I had the missile launchers from here fire into the Redemptor, and then I used Endless Cacophony to fire them a second time. So it was kind of a combined effort, but thank goodness, because these things were going to be a problem in a minute. However, still got a lot to chew through, and Vicky is still looking quite confident, I think, aren't you, Vicky? Be fine. Anyway, that is the end of my shooting. I do have a bit of potential combat, which is going to happen over here. I'll tell you what, let's just see if he gets in. I don't know what I need, but if it rolls high enough, we won't worry about that. I think that'll be enough. So we'll be right back in a minute with some combat between this Dreadnought and the Predator. So now we have the Chaos Contemptor versus the Predator. We did do Overwatch there because I did go that a bit quickly, but Vicky did want Overwatch and Vicky managed to take off a single wound. But let's see how the Contemptor does against the Predator. Okay, so the Predator, sorry, not the Predator, the Dreadnought has got 5 attacks because he charged. So we're looking for 3s here. So he missed twice, and we're also looking for 3s to wound because he is double strength. But actually, sorry, no, it's going to be 2s. So that many at -3. So you need 6 up saves, and it's 3 damage apiece. So you took 6 damage. And obviously, do you want to fight back with your Predator?
Yes.
Do you want to have a quick look that up first? Oh. So Vicky gets D3 attacks back with the Predator. So 2 attacks, and I presume you're hitting on 6s, so no, nothing back on the Predator there. So that's actually the end of Night Lords, turn 1. So let's head over to Crimson Fists, turn 2. Right, turn 2 for the Crimson Fists. Down here we've had the Outriders actually break away from this location and heading towards obviously the squad in the middle here with a backup of these Intercessors wielding the Stalker bolt rifles. They're obviously quite keen to get forward because they're going to take a -1 to hit, but they are heading towards that objective. Down on this side of the board, the Hellblasters realigned so they could see across the Havocs there. Probably fairly easy pickings for them, I suspect, but we'll see. And also the Intercessors have broken cover around this side, along with the Predator pulling back, because obviously it took a fair bit of damage. It needs to get out of combat with that Dreadnought. So the Intercessors move forward and probably going to be heading towards this objective here, I suspect. Vicky did also score 5 points because she was holding this objective with the Dreadnought. So that's pretty good. We'll now roll on into turn 2 Psychic and Shooting for the Crimson Fists. Okay, so at the end of the Psychic and Shooting for the Crimson Fists, a fair amount happened here. We had this squad of Intercessors fire pretty badly in here using the stratagem to fire twice, so rapid fire I think it was. I did put Midnight Cloud on them, however it didn't really do them a lot of good. There's only one of them left now. And as we shift over to this side of the table, as you can see, the Storm Eagle has been in better repair. It's now on 3 wounds. That was actually, to start with, was the Librarian down here, who actually got a Super Smite off on it, but only rolled a 2, so yeah, not that brilliant. However, I then did believe it was the las cannons off the Predator here, who's in pretty bad way. He's had to hit on 6s, managed to take it all the way down to 3 wounds. And then there was a flurry of... actually, no, sorry, probably that's completely wrong. It was actually the Hellblasters that did it, with an overcharge shot up here. They lost 1 for their efforts, however, they did took it down to 3. It was then the Predator, the Redemptor, and the Eliminators up here that tried to finish it off, but they just couldn't. Honestly, the shooting was horrible for Vicky, wasn't it? So, not fantastic. Moving to this side of the board, we had this squad here fire into the remaining Chaos Space Marines down here, taking out 1 in the end. Not brilliant. Alongside, I think another one was killed by the Outriders there as well. So that kind of concludes the shooting phase for the Crimson Fist. There's going to be 2 assaults here, so both of these squads here are going to try and make it into the Chaos Marines. Will I overwatch? We'll find out in a minute. At the end of the combat phase down here, the Outrider did actually make it in. Did take Overwatch, which took one of their bikes down to 1 wound. However, this bike fought and actually managed to kill with the other bike, I think it was 4 Marines in total, which was pretty nasty. We hit back with the Power Fist, taking 2 wounds off the off the remaining guy there, and one of the normal Chaos Marines managed to kill the other one off, who was on 1 wound after the charge. This squad didn't unfortunately make it in. It was got a double one on the charge, so they obviously didn't quite feel like getting involved this turn. Anyway, that is the end of this turn. So turn 2 for Crimson Fist is now finished. We're now going to head on to turn 2 for the Forces of Chaos. So as we roll into turn 2 for the Night Lords, as you can see here, the Storm Eagle has moved as far as it can go this way, just to get it sort of out of a bit of trouble, although it's really limping at the moment. We had a squad of Raptors and the Chaos Lord dropping at the back here. We're hopefully going to go for the head of the snake over here. So we'll see. Vicky doesn't look too happy with that. Try. The Dreadnought has moved in here between both these units. They're probably going to try and do some damage to both of them. We shall see. Before the Storm Eagle moved, its contents dropped out here in front of the Dreadnought. Whether that is a good idea, we will find out shortly. I mean, they are sandwiched between that and a squad here. However, there is a Raptor support force over here as well, hopefully ready to make their charge in. We'll see how the charges go this game round. I do have Mark of Khorne and the Icon of Wrath, so they do get to re-roll. And finally over here we had the Sikaran moved around the side here because he needed to get a much better shot at all the stuff that's in the line of fire down here. So that concludes movement. I also did score 10 points because I was holding this point here and that point over there at the end of my command phase. So at the moment the score stands at 10-5 to the Night Lords. So let's move on into Psychic and Shooting. Right, so we've finished turn 2 Psychic and Shooting for the Night Lords. In the Psychic phase, the Sorcerer here put prescience onto this Venator, managing to get it so it was hitting on 2s. It then also did a smite down onto this Outrider here, but only managed to take off it down to 1 wound. It was 1 away from killing it. It's a shame, but hey-ho. We then piled in a load of shots from the Havocs here into the Stalker squad. I think we killed 2 in total, so not brilliant. The missile launchers were not hitting home, apparently. The Sikaran here fired into the Redemptor that was there, managing to finish it off fairly easily in the end, because unfortunately it only had 2 wounds left, so not too bad. And then the Storm Eagle here fired everything into the Predator that was down here and killed it. Just, I might add, it was very close because it is hitting on 5s anyway, and couldn't quite get all its weapons to bear. It then fired the Vengeance Launcher at the Hellblasters down below it and managed to kill one of them. There's now only 1 Hellblaster left. Moving over to this side of the board, we had the Contempter fire all of its weaponry into the Predator, taking it down to 3 wounds. But yeah, nothing much else happened other than a few bolt pistols from these Raptors firing into the Hellblast as well, which I think assisted in taking a single wound off at the beginning of that combat. So that concludes turn 2 shooting for the Night Lords. We're now going to head on to some hopeful combat. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that is the end of turn 2 for the Night Lords, and at the combat phase, here's what happened. So down here we have the Incestors are now down to 3 remaining. I did lose a couple of Raptors for my trouble in that one. They did make a very good charge, though, to be fair. They did have to use their reroll. This squad was non-combative in this one. Over here, we had a bit of a tussle between the Chaos Terminator Lord and the Captain. It was actually the Raptors in the end that managed to kill the Captain. However, he did refuse to die and got back up on 1 wound, so we're going to have to try and kill him again in a minute. And then, to add a bit of insult to injury, the Banner Bearer decided to chop down 2 Raptors at the same time. So that was quite painful. However, in my enthusiasm to get on with these 2 combats over here, I completely neglected this fight over here, so I forgot to charge my Dreadnought, so that could have quite a serious implication on the game. We will see in a minute. I elected not to go back to do it because I'm just trying to play fairly, obviously. So no takey backies.
Mistakes have been made.
Mistakes have been made. Yes, exactly. So it's only fair, and that is the end of turn 2 for the Night Lords. Let's head on to turn 3 for the Marines, and let's see if they can get themselves out of this scrap. Turn 3 for the Crimson Fists, and down here we had the Predator move back slightly. The Incestors have made a very bold move towards this area over here. However, 1 Havoc will hold the hill. He will. I don't think he will, but we'll see how he goes on. Down to this side of the board, the Librarian stayed put because he's in a pretty good position to do various things. We had a Hellblaster here move towards the objective. However, because it's at the end of the command phase, nothing was scored by the Crimson Fist this turn, so he's got to try and get to the next turn. And that's pretty much it, isn't it, I think?
It is.
So that's movement done. Let's head on to Psychic and Shooting for Crimson Fists in turn 3. So at the end of the Psychic and Shooting for Crimson Fists in turn 3, over here this Dreadnought is down to 7 wounds after taking a hell of a lot of point blank shots from this. However, because it was such low ballistic skill, it didn't quite hit home as best as it could have done. The Storm Eagle somehow survives to fight another day. It is on 1 wound. That was after taking 3 rounds from up here, which didn't do anything. And then it took an overcharged Hellblaster shot from here, which managed to take 2 wounds off, leaving it on 1. That was very lucky for me, though, to be fair, because it could have gone the other way. Anyway, other than that, I think we had some storm bottle shots from this Librarian go into the Chaos Marines over here, not doing anything, sadly. Oh, no, there was one other thing. This squad of Intercessors fired every single bolter it had into the lone Havoc over there, knocking off the objective and killing that squad off. So that is no longer scoreable for me, and I don't think it will be for the rest of the game. So that is the end of turn 3 Psychic and Shooting. Well now, oh actually sorry, speaking of Psychic, pardon me, the Librarian did do a smite in here, killing off a single Raptor. So that is the end of turn 3 Psychic and Shooting for the Crimson Fist. We'll now head on into do some combat. Turn 3 for the Crimson Fist combat has now ended. Down here, the Librarian did a very good job of cleaning up pretty much all the Raptors bar 1. Basically came in and swung the mace around like nobody's business. On this side of the board, unfortunately, the Captain went down because my first choice of combat was the Lord against the Captain, and I rolled for 2 mortal wounds, finishing him off. Obviously, he can't get up a second time. And then we pummeled in a couple of wounds into the Primaris Ancient as well. But that is pretty much all the combat. We did take 1 more wound off over here with the Raptor, but that was pretty inconsequential. So that ends turn 3 for the Crimson Fists. We'll now head on to turn 3 for the Night Lords. Turn 3 for the Night Lords. Movement phase is ended. We've had the Storm Eagle fly as far as it could this way, just putting down near this Predator. The Dreadnought has turned its attention towards this Intercessor squad because they wandered by a bit too close. He's quite angry. And then shifting on over there, we had the Lord has broken out of here towards this Hellblaster. Probably just, well, he's got a choice between the Hellblaster or helping out with the Primaris Ancient there, or going into that Hellblaster. And then obviously the other squad of Chaos Space Marines here have moved on to the objective. Doesn't count for this turn though. I did score 5 points at the start of this command phase, at the end of the command phase, sorry, because I was on this objective here. Speaking of which, this Raptor has jumped away from combat, and these 4 remaining Chaos Space Marines have just come around the corner so they can potentially shoot at these guys here. The Sikaran is pretty good where he is, as are the Havocs and the Chaos Sorcerer up there. So that is the end of movement. We're now going to head on into Psychic and Shooting for the Night Lords in turn 3. Okay, well the turn 3 for Night Lords went quite quickly, so I've wrapped up the shooting and the combat into one part. So basically, shooting wise, we had the basically this squad here managed to finish off the remaining Intercessors, which then left the Sikaran here free to shoot at the Librarian, and he took 6 wounds to the face because he couldn't quite pass his invulnerable save, so he died. Over here we had a few shots going to the Hellblaster, which basically killed him. We didn't quite kill him, we assaulted him and then finished him off with 1 wound. And then the Lord charged into the Ancient here, managing to kill him off. We also had the Storm Eagle here fire down at the Predator, managing to destroy that with the multi-melters. And then finally, the Dreadnought here went into the Intercessors. I mean, actually, the Intercessors stood up quite well because my bowling was awful. However, they didn't manage to wound him back. So that is the end of turn 3 for the Night Lords. We'll now head on into turn 4 and see what happens. Okay, turn 4, which is actually where we are going to end the game. Vicky has conceded, haven't you, Vicky?
Yes.
Yes, basically, I didn't see there was much else going on here because obviously the only Euro unit she's got left on the board is the Intercessors here and the remaining Eliminators up here. I was actually quite surprised by this result, if I'm totally honest, and I think I'm going to have to say, totally down to this unit, the Storm Eagle, and the Sikaran over here, which are going to be both of my units of the match. I think without them, I would have had a lot of a tougher time of doing anything to your men. Don't know how you feel about that, Vicky, or if that's true or not.
No, they're two good units.
Yeah.
So I made a few mistakes.
Not too many, just some.
Well, I kind of wish I put Tranship and
Physiology.
That's the one on the Hellblasters earlier on.
Well, as I said, you learn by playing, so.
As well was a bit, but yeah, it was a good game.
So I enjoyed myself anyway. The final score was 20-5, and obviously there wasn't going to be much more option for to get any more score on Crimson Fist side because there's just no objectives available to collect now. So anyway, so sorry for finishing early. We did try and normally catch out the 5 games, but I think we both agreed this one was probably good to end there. This is Tom from Black Toe Studio. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the game, and we'll catch you in the next one as soon as possible. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.